go over a few things with you today. First, I'm going to explain a little bit about who I am so you know who the guy is that's giving you candy, and we'll eventually end up giving you some gift cards. I'm also going to explain some common marketing questions that a lot of people have when we start going down this path for advertising. I'm also going to cover the top 18 things that a marketing agency should be doing for you, or things that you could potentially be doing yourself. I'm also going to cover some common marketing mistakes. I call them mistakes, not mistakes. I do that on purpose. Then on top of that, I like to go over the top marketing FAQs, and then a little bit about doctor marketing, and then towards the end, I'll cover some questions and some case studies and pricing info. Okay, so I like to have a little bit more of an interactive presentation. So before I get started, does anybody have any kids? Show of hands, kids. I'm sure some of you have made some promises to them at some point in your life. So I made my kids this promise. I don't know if any of you have ever seen my seminar before, but I actually have no hair. Like normally I'm like bald. I bet my kids at the beginning of this year that I would not shave my head throughout the entire year. And if I did that, I got to buy myself a Rolex watch. But my kids said that if they didn't cut their hair, that I'd have to buy them a Nintendo Switch. The problem is that I already bought myself the Rolex watch at the beginning of the year, so now I have to not cut my hair for the rest of the year. It's a nice Goldilocks hair. I'm gonna have a giant, thick lumberjack beard. So if you see me again later this year, it's probably gonna get even worse. Okay, so just a little bit about me. That's normally what I look like. It's not what I look like today. So, just to explain a little bit about my background, I've been doing this for 12 years. I've been in the dental space for almost 2 decades. I'm a lot older than I look, I promise you. But I've worked in telecom, I've worked in advertising, targeting really primarily just medical practices. And then when I launched Doctor Marketing almost 15 years ago, I just specialized in dentistry, and that was it. I've won a bunch of awards from Google, from Facebook, and a bunch of other smaller awards for the work that we do for our clients. So again, I'd like to have a bit of an interactive presentation. Does anybody have any questions about that? No? Pretty straightforward, that's great. So some common marketing questions that a lot of people have when it comes to advertising. Very first question that they typically ask is, how much money do I spend? Do I spend $100 a month? Do I spend $10,000 a month? What do I spend on marketing? The next question they typically ask is, what platform do I use to market? Should I be marketing on social media? Should I be doing Google? Should I start marketing towards ChatGPT and Gemini and Claude? Right? Like, which platform do I use to spend that money? Next question they typically ask is, who do I promote my ads to? Right? Do I target men or women? Do I target people with kids or without kids? Do I target people of certain geographic areas? Right? Like, who am I targeting? Then, how do I rank higher on Google and ChatGPT? And then my personal favorite, what happens if I do this and it doesn't work? So I'm going to answer all these questions throughout the presentation, but does anybody have any additional questions they were kind of hoping to get answered? No? Great. Okay. On we go. So the top 18 things that you should be doing for your practice in order. The very first thing you need to take a look at are domains. Now there are 2 types of domains. You have business name domains and you have keyword-based domains. It's exactly as it sounds like. A business name domain is your name as a domain. So just as a disclaimer, I'm not actually a dentist, I'm not a medical professional, this is a costume. So if you have a medical emergency, you got to speak to one of the other physicians in the building, okay? So I say that because as a business name domain, I'm not going to, I might register something like brandondentistry.com. Right? That's how people who know you are able to find you, because it's your name as a domain. A keyword-based domain is not like that. It could be like familydentist.in.la.com. Right? It's not the name of my business, but it could be something that I want to target. Or like dentalimplantsinla.com. Right? Does everyone understand the difference between business versus keyword? Okay. Now, for business name domains, you want to protect your identity. So what I mean by that is that there's lots of different suffixes to a domain. A suffix is the ending of a domain, like .com, .net, .biz, .info, right? There's tens and tens of thousands of different endings of domains. But there's only 5 that are most recognized in the United States. That's .com, .biz, .info, .net, and .org. All the other ones I don't care about. Google doesn't care about them either, right? So the only 5 that you need to register are those 5 for your business name, okay? For keyword-based domains, you don't have to do that, right? So for keyword-based domains, don't go online and register hundreds of domains just for the sake of owning them, because Google does not care, right? The only thing that Google cares about is that there is a primary domain and that there is a website attached to it. Everything else that's forwarded to Google does absolutely nothing for search engine optimization. So don't bother going online, registering multiple domains, because Google honestly does not care. The only reason I'm suggesting you do that for your business name is because Google takes notice of that, and it's because it's an insurance policy for yourself, right? What you don't want to have happen is somebody goes online and registers brandondentistry.org and then points it to their website, right? So register com, biz, info, net, and org for your domain. So brandondentistry.com, brandondentistry.info, net, biz, and org. Biz, com, info, net, org, okay? Now, every time you register a domain, your information becomes public knowledge, which means if I'm a spammer, I could go online, I can find your personal contact information associated to your domain, I can sell it to 1,000 people and then spam the hell out of you until the end of time. So to prevent that from happening, what you want to do is you want to add a security blanket to your domain that redacts all of your personal information from being visible. So instead of seeing your personal information and your business contact information, the spammer's basically going to just see the word redacted written for every line of communication attached to your domain, okay? Does anybody have any questions on domains at all? What's your question? Sorry, I can't hear you. One second, let's try again. Oh, she's asking how do you redact the personal information? So your domain registrar, like GoDaddy as an example, or 2Cows or Bluehost, whoever you register your domain with will have an option to add a security measure to the domain. So most domains you can get for anywhere from $15 a year to $30 a year, depending on which suffix you get. The security for the domain could be as low as $5, it could be as much as $25. Now these are yearly costs, so each domain could end up costing 50 or 60 bucks with security for the year, right? So we're not talking of thousands of dollars here, but if you register 5 business name domains, yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a couple $100, but it's better you do that than somebody else register your domain as like brandondentistry.net and then point it to a different website, okay? Next are emails. So there's different types of emails. You got like Gmail, Yahoo, AOL, Rogers, SaskTel, right? Like these are all free email accounts that people can set up, okay? So what you don't want to do is you don't want to use one of these to communicate with patients. The reason being is because the average one of these emails, 70% of the time is going to go into the patient's spam box. So if you have like an @gmail.com as an example, and then a patient emails you, a prospective patient emails you through the website, and then your staff emails them back from like a Gmail account, 70% of the time that email is going to go straight into the patient's spam box. And then you're never going to get a response from that patient, right? And it's not because of something you did, it's not because of something the patient did. That's just how free email accounts work. So instead what you should do is you should set up a custom email, like info@brandondentistry.com as an example. And the reason you want to do that is because it only goes into the spam box 12% of the time. And the reason being is because when you email an incoming mail server, like the other person's mail server picks up your message and says, oh, you're a custom email, so I'm going to put you into the inbox. And it only goes into the spam box 12% of the time. So it's a lot more user-friendly, it's a lot less spammy when you get a custom email. Plus, it looks a lot more professional. I don't know if you can see this, but there's 2 types of emails here. One of them is a Gmail account, one of them is a custom email. The Gmail account says dentaltemp101@gmail.com. That was actually a dentist's email that they were using to communicate with patients. And then we ended up switching it to info@coultersmilldental. So imagine emailing another practice and being like, hey, can I get all their medical records? And it's coming from dentaltemp101@gmail.com. How fishy does that look, right? So what you want to do is you want to have a custom email when you're communicating with vendors, patients, or with other practices. Okay, now typically these medical emails are also attached to your website. So patients these days are very smart. So what they would do is they would take the suffix and the root. The root is the middle part of the domain, right? So if we go back here, they're highlighting the root and the suffix. They'll pop it into Google, and if it populates your website, you are who you say you are. But you can't do that. If I was to copy that Gmail account and put it into Google, Google's gonna be like, I have no idea who the hell this person is. So it's very important to make sure you're using a custom email at all costs. Now with custom emails, there's a lot of backup options that you can have and a lot of extra add-ons you can put into it to make it HIPAA compliant. So first is data backup. So if you accidentally delete something, you can easily restore it. Okay, next is malware protection. So it basically helps fight against viruses, right? You get an email that says, hey, download the invoice, right? And you accidentally click download. That virus doesn't go to your computer and your network, it just stays in the email. Anti-phishing software means that if you get an email from a known spammer, that email will go straight to your spam box every time and not your inbox. Email encryption, this means that every email that goes out from your mailbox is automatically encrypted. Okay, you don't have to log into any special third-party systems to encrypt those messages or anything like that. Then we've got desktop and mobile integration. This means if you add an email to your phone and to your desktop and you use one of them to reply to a message, it's marked as replied on the opposite device. This way you don't accidentally reply to the same thing. And then 50 gigabytes of storage. That's enough for 200,000 emails, give or take, right? If you're emailing a lot of like patient records and stuff like that, it could be maybe like 50,000 messages. You'd be surprised, but like, you know, you probably go through 50,000 messages within a couple of years. Like it goes away pretty quick, right? So you want to have at least 50 gigs of storage to start. Does anybody have any questions on emails at all? To confirm, the two best providers for HIPAA compliant emails are Google and Microsoft. Those are the two best providers. If you don't have one of those two right now, you should probably find someone to switch to them because those webmail providers like Network Solutions and stuff like that, they're not HIPAA compliant by default. Okay? Does anybody have any questions? You have a question? All right, I'm gonna come to you. Yes.
With Microsoft, we need to use their inbox, or it doesn't matter?
No, so like with Google and Microsoft, so she's asking about Google and Microsoft. It doesn't matter which one you use. Like we're not talking an @gmail.com, we're talking like Google Workspace. Okay, so it's a paid email account from Google that you set up with a custom domain, just like with Microsoft. So it's not like an Outlook email or an MSN email or a Hotmail email. It's like your custom prefix and your domain .com or whatever, okay? Any other questions on emails? All right, come here. Let's see. What's your question? Yeah.
And then the second one would be
How is Outlook?
like Outlook. Is it a good one?
Oh, no, not for patient communication.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are there laws around like emailing too many people in it?
Good question. So she asked if Outlook is a good one, not for patient communication. I don't know if you all can see this from back there, but that middle one at the top, the blue, that's Outlook. So like 80% of the emails, if you're emailing patient from Outlook, will go into their spam box. Yeah. And sorry, your other question. Oh, how many emails can you email to at one time without getting in trouble? So for anti-spam legislation, you want to email no more really than 100 people in an hour. If you do that, if you email too many people, you're going to get marked as spam. So as an example, I'm a marketing agency, but I type really fast. Like I type like 110 words a minute roughly, and I can get through emails pretty quick. I actually got flagged one time because Microsoft thought that I was a bot. And so they were like, hey, we're gonna put your account into review. So I had to actually escalate it with Microsoft and tell them, hey, I'm not actually a robot. I just work really fast because I think I emailed something like 20 people in a minute or something like that, right? So it's very important to make sure, it wasn't quite 20 people in a minute, it was maybe like 15 or 12 or something like that. But you wanna make sure that you're not emailing people more than like 5 times in a minute and try to stay under 100 messages an hour. My cap is usually 50 or 60 an hour, just to make sure we don't even come close to that threshold, okay? Next is your website. So, how websites have been designed over the last 30 years is basically a website design company would create a server, create websites for those servers, and then sell you those websites, okay? Now, the website company historically does not make a lot of money on the website hosting. They make money on like the marketing services and such. So a website company who's just doing websites needs to get you to buy another website. So in order to do that, they create better servers with better technology. And they do this every 6 months like clockwork to get you to spend more money, right? Because they don't just give you access to these websites and technology. You have to pay to upgrade. And if you don't pay to upgrade, what ends up happening is that your website starts to develop problems. Like if people click on it, it doesn't load, right? Or there's a map that's broken, or a security license isn't renewed, or a 404 page error. Does everyone know what I'm talking about when I say that? Right? Everyone's seen issues on your website or somebody else's, right? Yeah. So to prevent stuff like this from happening, when you're building your website originally, there are 4 things you need to pay attention to. One of them is the focus of your website, right? So what you don't want to do is go to someone's website and say, hey, we do kids, and we do implants, and we do orthodontics, and we do this and that and the other, because then the person's going to feel overwhelmed and you've lost them. So focus on something specific, okay? This way you don't have to keep reinventing the wheel and redesigning your website to try to get something to work. So focus. Then when you get the focus, you want to build the structure. So what is it going to look like? Has anyone ever seen like a blueprint of a building? It's the same thing on a website. It's called wireframing. So what is the website going to look like without any content attached to it? Once you get the structure, you're going to get the design and the content, right? So you're going to start putting in the pictures, the logo, the color schemes, right? The verbiage on the website itself. And then you're going to connect the technology, the chatbot, the website accessibility feature, right? Like you're going to connect buttons to the website for payment portals. If I click this, it goes here. If I click that, it goes there, okay? So if you do this properly, really, you have to update your website, just do little enhancements once every like 2 years, right? So you don't have to go and reinvent the wheel every time. Just do it properly the first time, and then it's just little changes from there, okay? Now, a couple tips to keep in mind. You want to keep your website simple. And when I say simple, I'm not talking about like endless scrolls, right? Like a typical website really only scrolls 4 to 5 times to get to the bottom of the page. If you have to scroll more than 4 to 5 times, you've lost the patient. Immediately, you've lost the patient, okay? So you want to keep it simple. You want to review the website once every like 6 months, okay, for accuracy. Look, as a website designer, I might be best friends with you, but if you don't tell me that you have website changes, like new staff members, changes of your hours, right, new technology, I don't know that. If you don't tell me, how am I supposed to update your website? Don't get mad at your website designer because you have a lack of communication. I know that sounds harsh, but you have to understand that your website designer does not live in your brain. You have to tell them when a change has to happen to your site. You can't just rely on them to know that automatically. Then you want to test out your website all the time. Once every 6 months when you're doing your review. Click the links, make sure that they're still valid, right? We have a system that automatically tells us if a link is just invalid on a website, so we'll fix it. But maybe that link just went invalid and then you caught it and we're like, perfect, let's fix this together, right? So review your website and test it out every 6 months. Then you want to include calls to action. So a call to action is when somebody reads a piece of information, it's like, what do they do next? Do they book an appointment? Do they call you? Do they submit a contact form? There needs to be something when they read something to get them to do something, okay? So a call to action. So there's a chatbot, a web form, a book online, right? Like something needs to appear once they've read a piece of content, okay? Now, once the website's officially built, you've got the domain, you got the email, you got the website, now you start marketing. The first step to marketing is to do search engine optimization. Now, there's 2 types of search engine optimization for Google. You have static and you've got dynamic. So static are keywords that are never going to change. So as an example, if I've got pages on your website, I got a page for peds, I got a page for ortho, I got a page for emergencies. There are specific keywords attached to the website just for those pages, right? So on the emergency page, if somebody goes online and types in emergency dentist, that page will show up. If somebody goes online and types in root canal, the root canal page will show up. That's what static means. Those keywords will never change. Then you have the dynamic version. The dynamic version is tied to a service, location, or industry. So you can have several different dynamic combinations attached to one static keyword. So as an example, emergency dentist is static. Emergency dentist near me is dynamic. Emergency dentist who deals with kids, female emergency dentist who speaks Spanish, emergency dentist open now. Does everyone know what I'm talking about, right? Right? So you can type in so many different dynamic combinations attached to one static keyword. This is why search engine optimization is typically a paid service, because you can get hundreds of keywords attached to every single static keyword on your website. Right? So sometimes there could be 100 or 200 static keywords and thousands of different dynamic combinations. Okay? So some key things to keep in mind when you're doing the optimization is you want to make sure that the keywords are page specific. So draw the right traffic to the right page. As an example, don't just take all the keywords and put them on every page. Let's say somebody goes online and looks for a pediatric dentist, and then they end up landing on your implants page. What do you think that parent's gonna do? Bye, right? Like they're gonna bounce out of your website, they're gonna leave. So the more people who bounce, the lower you're ranking on Google. So it's very important to make sure you draw the right traffic to the right page. If that means that one page of your website only gets 3 static keywords, that's fine. Just have 3 static keywords on that page, okay? Next, you want to add and replace. So over time, your keywords will rank higher or lower. People search differently for teeth whitening in March than they do in September, right? In March, it's primarily related to weddings. In September, it's primarily related to going back to school. So it's very important to make sure that your keywords are actually ranking. So the best way to do this is to use a system called Google Search Console. C-O-N-S-O-L-E, Google Search Console. It's a free system that you can plug into your website that basically helps you understand which keywords people are typing in to find you, okay? So that system will tell you over the last 2 or 3 months how many keywords you have and how they rank. Right? Now you can see the data for 16 months, but we're specifically looking at the last 2 months. I don't care what people are searching for a year ago. I care about what they're searching for now. Right? So what we want to do is we want to go into your website and remove keywords that are not ranking and replace them with keywords that are ranking. Does that make sense? Everyone's with me? Okay. Okay, good. Now what we want to do is we want to combine these keywords into something called a meta phrase. Has anyone ever heard a meta phrase before? Meta phrase? Okay. It's basically a combination of words that create a sentence. I'm sure all of you have searched up something like, how do I get my teeth not to be yellow? Or how do I fix a chipped tooth from home? Or what's the best steakhouse around me? Right? Everyone searched up stuff like that. That's called a meta phrase. So what that does is it triggers a blog to show up. Right? So if you're looking for specific answers to certain things, it's going to trigger blog content. Okay? How many people have a blog on their website? Show of hands. Blog on your website? Handful of you? Okay. So basically, a meta phrase is created by combining a series of dynamic and static keywords. So as an example, emergency dentist is static, child dentist is static, but everything else in between is dynamic. So we could look up emergency child dentist in Los Angeles near me or something like that. So it's a combination of static and dynamic keywords, okay? So what we want to do is we want to build out the blog backend first. So by building out a blog backend, this is not just saying, hey, let's create a new page and call it blog and then just like add content. Google doesn't care. They don't give a crap. So the thing that you have to do is you have to add it through something called an RSS feed, Romeo Sal Sal. It's an RSS feed. It's a specific type of technology that says that when you republish content, it sends a signal to search engines to come back and scan your website for more information. So that's how it picks up your blog content right away and then we'll index it, okay? ChatGPT Gemini, and Claude all use the same thing. So that's how they start referencing your content. So if you ask ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude for, like if you just ask questions, 99% of the time those platforms are referencing blogging content. So if you don't have a blog on your website right now, you're at a disadvantage than everybody else that put their hand up. So make sure you put a blog on your website like immediately. It's like one of the best things that you can do to show up on Google and places like ChatGPT and Claude. Everyone know what I mean when I say Claude, right? It's just like ChatGPT, Gemini, okay. So first you build out the blog backend. So the blog backend, you give it 3 pieces of information. Who you are, where you are, what you do, right? I'm Brandon Dentistry, I'm in LA, these are the services that I offer. So this way, if somebody goes online and types in a keyword, Google knows, or ChatGPT knows, to have your blog show up to that individual, right? Because it's pulling that really specific information right away. Now, once we have the blog backend built, we have to start writing content. But what do we write it around, right? I'm not just gonna write it around abscesses and stuff like that, right? So what we do is, you remember that Google Search Console I told you about on the last page? You're basically gonna take that content, you're gonna take those keywords, you can plug it into ChatGPT and say, hey, based on this information, can you write me a series of blog content that I can post over the next 3 months? And it will literally just create that content for you. Now, you do have to customize it because it's not perfect, right? It will make mistakes. So it means you have to read the content, edit the content, and reprompt the content, okay? So the reason why you go to Google Search Console, is because you want to understand what people are typing in today. So you take what the top keywords are, you plug it into ChatGPT, and you have it create content, and then you put that content on your website. So the next time somebody creates a piece of content, or types in a keyword related to that content, your blog will show up to that person. Does everyone understand that theory? Okay. So it's very important to make sure that either you use ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude, or write it yourself, right? Do not use companies like Fiverr to write your content for you, right? English is crazy on stuff like that, but you have to write it for 3 people, right? You have to write it so it's clinically accurate. You have to write it so people can find it, so you have to write it for Google. And you have to write it so patients can actually understand it. Okay? So it's very important to make sure you're writing for Google, for clinically accurate, and for patients. One sec. Okay, now, you want to post at least every 2 weeks at a minimum. But you don't want to post every like 6 weeks, okay? Minimum 4 weeks, every 2 to 4 weeks is what you should be doing, okay? Twice a month. Once a month is okay, but twice a month is preferred. Okay, you want to include at least 50 keywords. Now, I'm not talking just static, okay? We're talking maybe 1 static and 50 different dynamics. Let's take an example, dental implants, right? We can write a blog post about like costs for dental implants, dental implant cases, you know, before and afters for dental implants, you know, dental implant cleanings, right? Like surgery for dental implants, right? Like there's so many things you can do. Just write 1 blog post about it and then create other blog posts about those individual items and then link them back and forth, right? I'll explain about the linking in a couple of slides. You want to include at least 1,000 keywords, anywhere between 750 to 2,000. Anything less, it's not really a blog post. Anything more, you just kind of lost the patient in the details. And then you want to include pictures and videos. Now, I'm not talking like personal pictures, like, hey, I just did your implant, smile for the camera, right? But you can use a stock photo or like, you know, a Canva picture or something like that. Put your logo on it, your color scheme or an abstract of your logo. Just put it on there and then just attach it to the blog post, okay? Sorry, you had a question? Sorry, do you have a question?
Yeah, if you give it to ChatGPT, it's not recognized by Google to bring you up as if you have corrected what ChatGPT.
Sorry, is there a question? Is that a question?
Is it,
Oh, you're asking me that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I wasn't understanding. Okay. So he basically said, is Google smart enough to know that the content is written by ChatGPT? Yes, and they don't care. They don't care, right? Content is content. They really do not care. That's why you have to make sure you're reading the content to make sure it's actually accurate, right? So as an example, if you just plug in a bunch of information and it writes content, you asked it to write about dental implants, and then all of a sudden all the content is about extractions, Google's going to penalize you for that. But if your content is about dental implants and you've written about dental implants, Google's going to be like, perfect, thanks for the content. Yeah, so you use the keywords that Google has given you. If you don't want to write the content, then use Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini to write the content, and then just plug it into your website. No, I mean, you need to alter it because these platforms don't create flawless content. I don't know if you've read the ChatGPT content. It's like a 6 out of 10. Like, to be completely honest with you, it's like a 6 out of 10. Okay? But you do have to reprompt it, right? Like, can you take this and then like add more keywords? Can you take this and then like make sure that it's clinically accurate? Can you take this and write it in layman's terms so people can understand it? So you do have to adjust it. Okay? Now, there are specific things that you need to do in order to optimize your website. So very specific places you need to include keywords. So one of those places is in the tab of the actual browser itself. So imagine Google pulls out a filing cabinet. This is what they're looking at, okay? So they look at the browser tab. You can put keywords in there. Next is after the suffix. So after the .com or .ca, what's there is your navigation. Okay, this is how Google's going to be able to navigate your website. Then you've got the page navigation tabs. So that has to be tied into the URL suffix. So what I mean by this, let's say you have a services page, and under the services page you have dental implants. So your domain should be brandondentistry.com/services/dental implants. Okay, that's how a chronological order of a website should be broken down. Okay? Then you've got the page title. Now, if you look at the page title here, this one says bad breath treatment in Victoria, BC. The actual static keyword for this is bad breath. The treatment, you could have bad breath treatment, bad breath solutions, bad breath problems, bad breath issues, causes of bad breath, right? Like there's so many directions you can go in. So the treatment is a dynamic combination, and then in Victoria, BC is another dynamic combination, right? The reason why we went with treatment is because when we looked at the search console for this particular client, like 80% of their traffic related to bad breath was about treating it. Not causes, not symptoms, not issues, not anything else. It was about treating it. So that's why this page says bad breath treatment. Now, if you read the content on that particular page, it talks about treatment, then it talks about causes, then it talks about symptoms, because that's the order in which people are searching things related to bad breath in their area, right? So you want to rank the content according to what people are actually searching for. Does everyone understand that? Okay. Next, we want to include the page summary. So the page summary just provides Google with a synopsis of what the page is ultimately going to be about. Then we've got the content on the page. Like I said, you want to rank the content according to how much traffic it generates, right? So like, don't put causes at the top of the page if it doesn't generate any keywords related to it, okay? Then after that, you want to include something called an FAQ section. How many of you have ever seen something like this on someone's website, right? Or on Google, the people also search for, and then there's like a drop-down menu. This is called an accordion section. If you take a look at ChatGPT, Gemini, or Claude and what they look for, this is one of their top 5 items that they look for your website. How many of you ever heard of the term GSO? You've heard of SEO, but what about GSO? GSO stands for Generative Search Optimization. Okay, it's answers. Answers. So the best way to do that is to put one of these on every single page of your website, get the top 5 questions, write the top 5 answers. So now Google's going to be referencing this, and ChatGPT and Claude are going to be referencing that. Okay, now you can only add one of these things to every page. The second you add a second FAQ section, both of them are void. So only have one FAQ section, one of these elements on every page of your site, not 2 per one page, okay? Next is your title and description. So everyone knows what a title and description is on Google when I show them this, right? So every search result has a title and has a brief description of what that title is about. Everyone know what I'm talking about? Okay. So you can manipulate that title and description for every single page of your website. What I've seen a lot of times, even today, is your title would read dental implants, brand and dentistry. Root canals, brand and dentistry. Pediatric dentist, brand and dentistry. So you have to think for a second. If the patient were to read that, do you think that it would resonate with them and want to click on that listing? Probably not. You have to change the title and description based on what is most often typed in for that service. So as an example, for teeth, for let's say dental implants, or teeth whitening, or emergencies, whatever. Let's go with emergencies. It could read urgent dental care, same-day appointment as a title, right? The description could read chipped teeth, cracked teeth, bleeding gums, or dental trauma. We help kids and adults, call today. How many keywords are just in there already, right? Emergency, same day, urgent, chipped teeth, bleeding, trauma. So if anybody types in any one of those keywords, Google's gonna be like, hey, this is a great title and description. Let's have you show up number 1. So this is like one of the most important things that Google looks at. There's like 200 things. This, in my opinion, is like number 1. Changing the title and description for every single page of your website, okay? After that, you want to include something called alt text, ALT text. If anybody's ever heard pictures worth 1,000 words, it's exactly what this is. Essentially, you're adding keywords onto the picture to let Google know what that picture is about, right? Anybody ever used Google Images before? That's exactly what this is, right? So this is how Google knows to have those pictures show up on Google Images, okay? Then we have something called local business schema. Anybody want to show up on Google Maps higher? How many people want to show up higher on Google Maps? Yeah, pretty much everyone. Okay. This is one of the things that you need to enable to do that. So it's basically a page of code you add into your website that helps Google Maps find and navigate local businesses to present to local searchers. So as an example, if I'm over here and I type in local dentist near me, he will show up above you. But now, if I'm over here and I type in local dentist near me, you will show up above him, right? That's how Google is able to show local businesses to local people. That's why when somebody types in like best steakhouse near me, that you're not seeing something in Toronto. Make sense? Okay. Now, why is optimization important? Because there's thousands of keywords that somebody could potentially type in to find you, thousands. And so what you want to do is you want to be showing up when somebody types in a very specific keyword that you show up for that person. Now, I don't know if the ones in the back, if you can see this, but I typed in orthodontics near me, not TIST, not T-I-S-T. I typed in T-I-C-S, ticks. Okay, keyword choice. Those are 2 different words. They're not the same. So when we looked at the analytics for this person, it was like almost 93% of the traffic for that keyword for that office was ticks, not TIST. Okay, so it's very important to make sure you use the right word when you're optimizing a website. Very, very important, okay? Because this way, if somebody says, hey, orthodontics near me, they find the page that they're looking for in one click because it literally says orthodontics. And then it's literally right there. Pretty easy, right? So keyword choice is very important, making sure you use the right words. That's why Google Search Console is so very important, because it literally tells you what the top words are for your area. Now, Google Business Profile. This is Google Maps. So how long do you think it takes to set up a Google Map profile? Anyone want to take a guess? 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 3 hours, 2 days? How long do you think? 5 minutes? Have you set up a Google Maps profile before? Okay. So you know what Google Maps is, right? Like pictures and bios and stuff like that. 5 minutes? What's next best guess? Whoever gets it right gets a $10 Starbucks gift card. Whoever comes closest. 2 hours? Huh? 5 days? Huh? 10 minutes? Anybody else want to take a guess? 1 hour? What did you say? And at 1 hour? 3 days? Huh? It doesn't have to be verified. Once it's verified, how long does it take you to set up? You said 2 hours? No, who said 2 hours? That's yours. It's closest. 2 to 5 hours to set it up. The reason being, if any of you have ever controlled a Google Maps page, you have to set up the pictures, you have to set up the address, you have to set up your attributes like, do you have a bathroom? Do you accept gay and lesbian? Do you accept children? Do you have insurance information? Right? You have to put all of your contact information in there. You have to include your services and the descriptions. You have to respond to reviews and set that up. It's like 2 to 5 hours to set this up properly, right? This is not some simple task, okay? So if you don't have control over it, all you have to do is just Google yourself, see if you have a profile, and then it says, own this business, ? And you say, well, yes, I do. Click, and then just follow the verification steps, right? It's not rocket science, just follow the steps, okay? Now, once you have control over it, there's all these things that you can edit. That process will take 2 to 5 hours to do, okay? Now, for those of you that might have multiple locations, Google gives you a back-end system where you can manage all the locations at once. It's primarily reserved for like DSOs or like marketing agencies to be able to manage their client base. Now, this next part is very important, so everyone should pay attention to this one because this is one of the contributing factors on how you will show up higher on Google, specifically the Maps area. You scroll down, and right there's an announcements section. So it allows you to provide an update on your Google Maps page. This is almost like doing a social media profile right on your Google Maps, right? So it allows you to have these like social posts or blog posts that contribute to specific information, right? Maybe it's just an announcement about a new staff member, a service, a promotion you're running, or you just want to say hello, right? Picture, content, and then a call to action, okay? These are optimization friendly, so the more posts you do, the better, but don't go and flood it because then you're going to be marked as spam, okay? Now, right after that are reviews. So it's very, very important to make sure you're responding to reviews because Google indexes both the review and the response, and so does Claude, and so does ChatGPT, and so does Gemini. So it's incredibly important to make sure you respond. And when I say respond, I don't just say, hey, thanks for the 5 stars, because Google indexes the response. So you have to say, hey, thanks for the 5 stars. You know, positive or negative, we want to make sure everyone has a great dental experience at our office in LA. Should you have any questions regarding cosmetic or children, we got your back, give us a call. It's riddled with keywords in that response. Now, what you can't do for HIPAA compliant reasons is you can't mention the person's name in the response. So if you've already done that in responses, don't move the body, just leave it alone and just make sure you're not mentioning the person's name in the response going forward. Okay? Otherwise, you're just going to shoot yourself in the foot and you risk a potential lawsuit. Okay? Even if the person's name is literally listed in their review, you cannot say, thanks, Brandon, for the review. You can't do that. You just broke compliance because you just brought their name into it. You brought the name into it, even if their name was listed. Okay? Very, very important to make sure you don't mention the person's name in the review. Now, Bing Places. Bing also has a Maps section just like Google does. 30% of the world still uses Bing because it's the default browser for Microsoft computers. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to log into Bing using your Google credentials. So what you just set up your Google Maps, you're going to just log into Bing using the same thing. Then what you're going to do is you're going to sync your profiles. So you're going to sync your Google and your Bing profile together. When you do that, Bing is going to just absorb all that information. And then when they do that, bam, you have a profile on Bing Places in literally like less than 5 minutes. All you do is you go through the information. So you click Edit at the top, and then you just make sure that they mark the industry correct, they mark the pictures correct, the hours of operations are right, and then click Submit, and then within like a week, you have a profile on Bing. They just have to verify the profile. Pretty easy, right? It's probably the simplest thing you can do once your Google Maps page is set up. How many of you use a chatbot? How many of you hate using chatbots personally? Yeah, pretty much everyone. Okay, so you have to understand a chatbot is a conversion tool. So just like a book online, a click to call now button, or a web form, right? It's just another way that someone can communicate with you in a method that they choose, okay? In a method that they choose. So even though you don't like chatbots personally, some people prefer to use them. They want to get more than a web form, but they don't want to call people, so that's kind of a middle ground for them, okay? So the first thing that you want to do when you're building out a chatbot is you want to give it a list of all the services that you have. So a list of every treatment, every procedure, every technology. Now you can have it separated by like each individual service, or you can group them together into categories like endo, perio, ortho, peds, that sort of thing. Then what you're going to do is you're going to create a story for each one of these things. So what is the bot going to say when the person engages with this component? Okay? Then what you're going to do is you're going to tie all these stories together. Okay? And what I mean by tie them together, it's like, let's say the first column talks about cosmetic dentistry, and at the end it says, hey, do you want to book an appointment for cosmetic? Do you want to learn about veneers? Do you want to learn about bonding, or do you want to learn about something else? And then the person says, you know what, tell me about teeth whitening. So then the bot says, okay, here's the info on teeth whitening. Do you want to book an appointment for teeth whitening, learning about bonding, veneers, or something else? And it keeps doing that until the person says, you know what, let's book an appointment. Right? So then all you have to do is just put in a web form into the chatbot, the person fills it out, and then you get an email. It says, hey, just letting you know, Brandon's looking for teeth whitening. Here's his chat history and his contact information. Give him a call. Right? Very simple. Now I said give him a call. I didn't say email them back. Why don't we email people back when they have a lead form come in? Does anyone remember the percentage of emails that go into spam box? 70%. 70%. So if you email someone back, 70% of the time you're going straight into that person's spam box. So when you get a lead, you call it back immediately. You don't email it back, you call it, okay? Now this is how a chatbot looks. Now there's different types of chatbots. You can have an AI version that will write back. You can have preset answers and preset responses, right? And you can have a live chat, like somebody actually physically typing stuff in. My favorite is the preset answers and preset responses because it takes all the guesswork out. It literally just takes people down a pathway and then asks for their contact information with no typing. No typing. So it's very important to make sure that you use a bot that is convenient for your patients. Okay? Using an AI bot, the person just has to type in the question every time. You have to wait for the response, and then maybe the bot takes them down a rabbit hole. You don't want that. Okay? So it's very important to make sure you're using my favorite preset answers, preset responses. Okay? Next, we want to build your website popularity. The best way to do that is to get found on directories. Now there's lots and lots and lots of different directories out there. There's Yellow Pages and Yelp and RateMDs, Health Grades, 411, MapQuest, Manta, Better Business Bureau, right? Like there's so many, okay? The thing that you have to do is you have to make sure that you show up with all of this information accurately on each and every directory. Now, I don't know if you guys in the back can read this, but it's basically the name of your practice, your phone, your fax, your hours of operations, services, and stuff like that. So it's very important to make sure that that information is accurate on every directory. Basically, whatever you just put on Google Maps is also going to be on every single directory. And the reason we do that is because it makes sure that your information is accurate across the entire internet. Right? Because if Google has your name listed as one thing and Yellow Pages has it listed as something else, but the phone number, the address, and everything else matches, Google's going to give you a big fat X. They say, sorry, this information's inaccurate. So every directory that you're on has to be accurate. Whatever's on Google has to be on the directory. Okay? Now, instead of doing this one-on-one, like just one directory at a time, you're going to do this through something called an aggregator. So an aggregator basically disseminates information on your behalf to the entire internet. So there's different types of aggregators. There's ones that work with local directories like Chamber of Commerce and local business parks. There's ones that deal with national directories like Yellow Pages or Better Business Bureau or 411. And then there's industry-specific directories, ones that deal with like RateMDs and Health Grades and Dental Find and those kinds of companies, okay? So some are commercial that I can work with, some are consumer that you can work with. Some are free, some are paid, some are large, some are small. So essentially you want to work with as many aggregators as you can to push your information out to the entire internet. So as an example, has anyone ever heard of Yext? Yext? Or Vendasta? Or Localese? Newstar? Foursquare? Yellow Pages? Yellow Pages is technically an aggregator. They work with 11 directories, okay? So you want to work with as many of these companies as you can, okay? Now, the reason we do this is because it creates links that lead to your website. So the more places you get found, the higher you get found. Everyone got that? So you have to show up in more places if you want to get found higher. So in order to do that, some very simple links that you can create right now would be internal linking, going from page to page of your website. I'm not talking about your navigation. I'm talking about the actual content where you have it linking from page to page, okay? Then you've got external linking. These are links that go from your website to an external source. And then you have directory links that go from an external source back to your site. So you need all kinds of links, so the more places you get found, the higher you get found, okay? Now, that Google Search Console system I told you has another section to it that says, hey, here's all the links you have and here's where they are. So this way you'll know if you're actually building more links attached to your website and if your person who's doing optimization is actually doing their job, okay? Google Search Console is free and you can plug it in. Like it's like one of the simplest things that you can do, okay? Next is website accessibility. I don't know if y'all can see this, but there's like a little blue icon that's right there. Sometimes it's like a question mark or a guy in a wheelchair or an exclamation mark or a pair of glasses on a website. Does everyone know what I'm talking about? Okay, so something like that basically helps people with disabilities to use your website, right? So it allows for the website to be manipulated in a lot of different ways. So one of the ways that it can manipulate it is it can read the website to you. It can increase the font. It can change the colors. It can manipulate or mute the tones of your website for people with epilepsy or color blindness or dyslexia, right? So the Canadian and US governments got together 2 years ago to create something called the Website Accessibility Guidelines Act. Has anyone ever heard of this before? Okay, it's a law that says that you have to do this. So if you don't have if your website is not accessible to people, you risk it getting sued by someone who is disabled. Okay? So adding something like this into your website is the law. You need to do it. Okay? Now, as a benefit, Google gives you bonus marks for optimization. So for those that are compliant, Google's going to say, hey, you're compliant, check mark, you get bonus marks for your optimization score. Okay? Next, we want to ask for reviews. Okay? Now, there are 4 ways to generate reviews. $10 Starbucks gift card for whoever can name me the 4 best ways to generate reviews. Does anyone want to take a stab in the dark? All right, this guy's talking. All right, what are the 4 best ways?
Inpatient, like patient, family members.
Family members can leave reviews, yeah. Who else? We're not talking about that right now. We're talking about how to generate those reviews, not who can generate them. Does anyone want to take a guess how to generate the review? Through ads? Oh, asking? How to ask. That's what we're trying to figure out, how to ask. You can physically ask for someone. How else? You can send a link. A QR code, sure. She got it. It was email. But you answered more, so you get $10. Good job. So the 4 ways to generate reviews are through a survey, through a QR code. I gave that one to you. Basically, this is one of the best ways to do it. Just say, hey, how was your experience? Great, or was it good or bad? If it's good, just be like, perfect, leave me a review. If it's bad, it just says, thanks, have a good day, right? This way it keeps any negative comments offline. Then you could have a QR code in the waiting room, right? Simple QR code that just says, hey, leave us a 5-star review, okay? You could also ask for it during the appointment or after. Pick and choose your moments, right? Like, imagine you got your hands in the patient's mouth and says, hey, can I get 5 stars? Right? The person's like, okay, yeah, I guess I can. And then in an email post-appointment, right? Sending an email to the patient, okay? So the reason we do this is because Google indexes the review and the response, but it's not just Google now that looks at the reviews. Who else looks at the reviews? ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini. If you ask ChatGPT right now, who are the best dentists in my area, they'll give you a list. Then you ask a follow-up question, how can I get ranked higher on this list for me? And they will literally tell you reviews, links, content. Like those are like the top 3 things that you can do to get found higher and being mentioned on ChatGPT, Gemini, and Claude. Okay? So you want to make sure you are generating reviews, but don't just push the reviews to Google. Ask people to leave you a review on Yelp or Facebook or RateMDs or something. Okay? Diversify the portfolio. Now there's 4 people that can leave a review. $10 Starbucks gift card. Who are the 4 people that can leave you a review? Who wants to take a stab in the dark? Anybody? Ma'am at the back, I'm coming to you. Who are the 4 people that can leave you reviews? Huh? Oh, happy patients. Happy patients. Well, we're just going to say patients. Okay, who else? Who else can leave you a review? I'm coming over here. Who else can leave you a review? You got patients. Vendors. That's a hard one. Who else? Family members. That's family members. Family members and friends. Employees. There you go. Good job. Sorry. Okay, so there's 4 people that can leave reviews. We got patients, right? What it was like to actually be treated by you. We got staff, what it's like to work with you. We got vendors, what it's like for you to buy from them. How many of you have bought something today? Not yet? Yeah, okay, 1 person. You know what you need to do? Go back to the vendor and be like, hey, can you leave me a 5-star review on what it was like for me to give you my credit card? Right? Like, they'll leave you a review. And then your family, your friends, every one of those people can leave you a review. Like, why would they not? How many of you, by show of hands, have ever left a review for yourself? No one? Come on. Why don't you leave a review for yourself? Do you think it's tacky? Okay. Let me leave a review. Imagine I'm a dentist. Hey, my name's Dr. Brandon. I own Brandon Dentistry in LA. I like to treat kids, parents, and everyone in between. Bring in your grandparents. Cosmetic, dentistry, orthodontics, I got it all. If I'm in the office and I'm available, I'll stop by and say hello. I'm looking forward for you to be patient. What was wrong with that? It's a 5-star review I just gave myself. Somebody reads that, they're like, oh, this guy, that's cool. Why would you not do that? I could do that on Google, I could do it on Yelp, I could do it on RateMDs, I could do it on Facebook, I could do it on Rateabiz. There's 5 places I could just leave myself a review. And I've got like 10 people I could ask to do the exact same thing. Right? Take advantage of it. No one says that you can't do that. You're not going to get in trouble for it. You get mad because one person says, oh, that's tacky, you're leaving a review for yourself. You know what you say to that patient? Get bent. I don't want you as a patient anyway. Like, for real. Right? Leave a review for yourself. 5 stars. Why not? All right, Google Ads. So I'm sure all of you have experimented with Google Ads at some point. There's lots of different things that you have to consider when doing Google Ads. First is you have to link it into something called Google Analytics. How many of you have ever looked at Google Analytics before? One of you? So basically, this is a system that lets you see keywords, times of day people search, bounce rates, all that fun stuff, okay? So what you do is you link Google Ads and Google Analytics together so that your Google Ads become smarter, okay? Then what you're gonna do is you're gonna pick the procedures that you wanna promote for. So what am I gonna promote for? Orthodontics, kids, emergencies, general dentistry, what am I promoting for? Then, which keywords should we use, right? So attached to each service, there's a list of keywords that we need to promote for, okay? So Google's gonna say, do you wanna promote for these, yes or no? You could just blindly accept all of them. In most cases, you're gonna go through them and say yes, no, yes, no. Like, I do wanna show up for free dental consultations. I do not wanna show up for free dental work, okay? Then what you're gonna do is you're gonna create content, you're gonna figure out the best time of day to promote. So the best time of day typically is 7 days a week, 6 in the morning to 11 o'clock at night. You wanna promote pretty much all the time because, just hear me out on this one. I myself don't consider myself to be the average worker. I get up at 5 a.m., I go to the gym, I come home, I help my wife with the kids. I help my wife with the kids, I drop them off at school, I go to work, I come home, I coach their baseball, I put them to bed, and it's 9 o'clock. At no point did I have any time to search for anything related for my kids, right? So you have to consider advertising either before I'm available or after, before I become busy or after I become busy, or after I'm not busy anymore, okay? Which is like 9 o'clock at night, right? And so if you're not advertising when I'm searching, am I gonna click on you? Probably not. So it's very important to make sure you're advertising at the times of day when people are actually searching, okay? Then what you wanna do is you wanna create content for these people. So it's, let's say it's 6 o'clock on a Saturday, somebody's typing in teeth whitening near me. What is that ad gonna say? Right, is it gonna say, hey, need teeth whitening, call today? Or is it gonna say, hey, I notice you travel a great distance for work. How about coming in for some in-office whitening trays, take-home kits, right? Or hey, big life event coming up, maybe get a brighter smile for your teeth, right? So you can target these ads based on the keywords people are typing in and their search history, right? That's why you want to connect Google Ads with Google Analytics. It allows you to be able to manipulate the keywords and the content of the ads itself to tailor it to the person that you're actually marketing for. Does everyone understand that? So basically, you can manipulate your content so that people are receiving a specific emotion when they're reading your content so that it resonates more with them, okay? So don't just say, hey, need teeth whitening, call now, right? Like, think outside the box, right? Have you been thinking about a brighter smile for a while? Call now, right? Sorry, let me come to you. You have a question?
Because you're getting the cost of it.
Yeah.
It's because of the cost, right? Obviously. But how do you work in like when people are calling at those times? How do you figure that part so that you're not losing them?
Let me kind of think I answer your question. Okay. So she basically asked how to not lose a patient if the office is closed, kind of. Right? So between 6 p.m. and to 11 o'clock at night, those patients know no office is open, by the way. They know, right? You're just promoting to try to get that traffic to come to your site because nobody else is promoting in your area, right? So if they try to call your office, the office is gonna say, we're closed, just call them back in the morning. Or if they fill out a web form or a chat bot, they know you're not there, just call them back in the morning. You're not gonna lose anything, but you will gain a lot more traffic advertising at times your office is closed than advertising at times when you're open. Fun fact, 60% of the traffic you're gonna create, traffic you're gonna get is gonna come when your office is already closed. 60%. It's like 59.8%. It's crazy. Sorry? Oh yeah, she said, you could also use an AI receptionist. That works too, right? You could, so you don't lose anyone. And then what should your budget be? This is a big question. Typically, you're gonna get between 2 and 8 times in return. So if you say, hey, I only wanna spend $500, is generating $1,000 to $4,000 enough money for your business to be able to get to the next level? You have to understand that that budget is divided every single day throughout the month. So let's just take $1,000 as an example. Google's gonna divide that every single day. So that's $33.33 every day that you're gonna be promoted. Now, some days it might be 31, some days it might be 29, some days it might be 40. But on average, it's gonna be about $33.33. How many patients do you think you're gonna get with a $33 budget? Let's be realistic here. I'm gonna go over the numbers in a couple of slides. Do you think you're gonna get 5 patients off of a $30 budget? Because if that's the case, I will gladly give you $50,000 right now and I'll run your ads, but I want half of what you make. You have to set realistic expectations for what you think you're gonna receive. And I'm gonna go over those numbers with you in a couple of slides, okay? So next is Facebook and Instagram, okay? There's lots of different social platforms. Typically we start with Facebook and Instagram because those are the ones that everybody knows. So first thing that you wanna do, set up your Facebook profile, just like you did with Google, right? Add your pictures, add your contact information, your hours of operation, link in Instagram because they work off the same platform, okay? Then what you're gonna do is you're going to set up the automated messages. So Facebook has a simple chat system. It's like, hey, welcome to our Facebook page. How can I help, right? So then you can just create this like simple automation for Facebook. Then what you're gonna do is you're going to create engaging content. So these posts are shown only to your followers. These are not shown to everyone in a geographic radius. These are only shown to the people who follow you, okay? So then what you're gonna do is you're going to engage with those followers. So if they comment, you need to reply. If they share your post, share one of theirs. If they like one of your posts, like one of theirs. It's not hard to do, it's just you have to stay consistent with it, right? 5 minutes a day. Like literally it's 5 minutes a day. You don't have to be doing this thing for hours, okay? Now, with Facebook and Instagram, typically you wanna post at least 2 times a week. Could be a post, it could be a reel, right? 2 times a week, Facebook and Instagram, okay? Other platforms, you wanna do it more often. Like TikTok is like once a day. YouTube is like maybe once every 2 weeks or once a month, okay? Depending on if you're creating a reel on YouTube or if you're like a short, or if you're doing like an actual structured video, okay? So each platform requires a different set of attention, okay? If anybody's ever used Facebook Pixel, it's no longer required, right? Facebook Pixel was an analytics system that actually tracked people and their demographic information so you can retarget them in the future. In the medical field, we can't do that, right? So if you have a pixel engaged in your website, you need to remove it, otherwise you risk getting sued, okay? Next is meta ads and influencers. So if anybody's ever ran an ad on Facebook or Instagram, you're using the meta backend. Okay, this allows you first to create a bunch of audience groups, and these audience groups can be targeted towards like men versus women, people under 30, people over 30, people with children, people without children. And you can essentially create audience groups for these groups of people, right? So this way you can create 2 or 3 different ads for each group and then let Facebook figure out which ad performs better. It's called an A/B test, right? A/B. Then what you're gonna do, you're gonna create your posts. Then what you're gonna do is you're gonna set your time frame, your frequency, your radius, and your budget. It's basically how much money do you wanna spend and how often do you wanna spend it, okay? And then after that, you're gonna promote and promote and reply to these people, okay? And so what I mean by this is if somebody could comment on one of these pictures, right? And these pictures typically get a lot more engagement than your standard Facebook profile posts because these ones are shown to everyone in a geographic radius, not just to your followers. So it's very important to make sure that you are engaging with the people that are commenting on your ads, okay? And then on top of that, you want to engage with influencers. So influencers are pages or people that have large following networks that you essentially pay to partner with. So every time they do a post for you, you can get anywhere from between a couple hundred to even a couple thousand new followers per post, right? So if you want to rapidly grow one of your social media profiles, work with a few influencers and then you go straight up, okay? Next is YouTube. YouTube management and ads. So how many of you use YouTube channels? Does anyone ever use the YouTube channel? Okay, that's good. So first thing that you want to do in terms of the management of the channel itself, you want to create the actual video, right? And the videos can be long or short, right? Like they could be 30 seconds or they could be 10 minutes. It just depends on the approach that you want to create, okay? Those videos can also be taken and then put on your website so that they're not streaming through your website and slowing your website down. So add them to YouTube and then load them into your website, okay? You can also take those videos, once you create them for YouTube, you can create them, just take them and put them on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok. You don't have to change the content, just apply it to a different platform, right? You don't have to keep reinventing the wheel, right? Then we want to add videos to a posting schedule, right? So if you have a bunch of content, like as an example, there's a videographer that's at the back there just recording the presentation. I'm going to create this, I'm going to chop it up into a bunch of different videos, and then we're going to use content for the next 6 months. Why would I not do that, right? And then we want to optimize these videos. So when I say optimize, you can create content on the back end so that when people go to YouTube and type in like marketing videos, education, understanding, right? This video will pop up for that person and then all of a sudden they'll be able to watch it, right? So you want to add some content and some keywords on the back end of YouTube when you're loading the video so that it can be found, okay? Next are the ads. So you can create ads on YouTube as well to target people. I don't know if anyone's ever used YouTube ads before. $500 can get you like 50,000 views. Like, it's like dirt cheap. It's like pennies for a click. It's so cheap, right? It generates a ton of traffic. But the videos, there are restrictions. Like the videos have to be between 30 to 90 seconds. Have to be, okay? The videos can be chopped up and edited and reused, so you don't want to keep just promoting the same one over and over and over. Change the thumbnail or chop the video in a different way, but use the same content to make it appear fresh, okay? You can only have a max of 5 videos when you're doing YouTube ads, right? You can only use 5. And then you want to swap out your videos every 3 to 6 months to make it appear fresh, okay? So like I said here, $1,000, not $500. $1,000 on YouTube can get you 50,000 views or potentially more. Like I had one guy that was in Massachusetts. We spent $750. He got almost 300,000 views on his video for $750. Like it was a crazy, crazy amount of exposure. It was like something like 6,000 clicks. Crazy for $750. Like just crazy, crazy good. So this is an example of a video that you should create for yourself. This one's for us, by the way. Now, I'm not going to make you watch the whole thing, but the objective here is to make a video, that people will actually want to watch and engage with. He basically just talks about how amazing we are because we've been working with him for 10 years, okay? But you need to do the same sort of thing. Create a video for yourself and put it online so that people can watch it. People don't just want to see pictures. Oh, that's cool. But like having a video, yeah, they're going to watch it. They're going to engage with you because then they can feel that you are who you say you are, right? Imagine just seeing a couple pictures of me and then just having like my voice dubbed over. It's not the same thing. Right? Video should be used in your marketing. Now, everything I've explained up to this point has a purpose. So the website traffic will tell you who's engaging with you, which pages they're landing on, how they're finding you. Your Google Analytics will tell you the keywords people type in. Your Facebook Analytics will tell you the demographic details like age, gender, marital status, kids, and job. So you essentially take one system to improve the other. Okay, so as an example, you can go to your Google Analytics and say, show me all the keywords related to implants. And it'll tell you like, hey, these people are searching for implants at 8 o'clock at night. So then I go to Facebook and I create an implant post targeted towards implants, and I post it at 8 o'clock at night. Then I look at that analytics and I can see that people over the age of 65 are looking at it. So I go back to my website and I change all the images for implants to coincide with men over the age of 65. So one system makes the other system better, but one system doesn't tell it all. So you have to keep looking at the different systems to make improvements. Okay? Now, everything I've explained up to this point has been digital. There's a lot of non-digital options that are actually still very effective depending on your location. Okay, so printed flyers, radio, buses, billboards, having a commercial at the beginning of a movie theater is actually surprisingly effective, right? And it's actually really affordable, right? Like AMC theaters, to put a commercial at the beginning of their movies, I think it was only like $800 for like a month. Like it wasn't even a lot. Right? So it's definitely something worth exploring if you have content for it. Community sponsorships like rib fests or picnics and stuff like that, right? Community engagement, sponsor a baseball tournament, right? Get involved in the community. Business partnerships, right? Like if anybody has like a police station or has a car dealership, just go in and say, hey, can I be your dentist? I will help all of your staff and I'll give you 5% off or 10% off. Like, why would you not do that? Right? I worked with this dentist in Ohio that worked with the soccer team, right? The MLS soccer team. I can't remember off the top of my head who it is. But he was their dentist. You know how much he paid for that partnership? It was like $200,000 to partner with an MLS soccer team. You could literally go into a police station and say, I'll give you guys all 10% off. You can bring your families and everyone. It'll cost you nothing, maybe the 10%, but I mean, it costs you nothing for that. And then you get all the police officers, you get the fire department on board, you get the car dealerships. It costs you nothing for that. So like, be active in the community outside of just like digital marketing, right? Go set up some business partnerships. Or how about this one? Does anybody have a tanning salon beside their office? Tanning beds? No? If you do, go into the tanning salon and say, hey, you know what? Can we partner together? I'll give you free dental work for like cleanings if I can put these posters in your tanning beds. And the posters are gonna read, get a brighter body, get a brighter smile, with a QR code, right? Because people that typically will go into tanning beds want to improve their appearance. So you can historically get those people to sign up for things like veneers and teeth whitening and such. Okay? Now, some additional ideas, you can create packages for colleagues because you have to understand, people like family doctors do not deal with teeth. So if you can get on the good side of a family doctor, he'll just refer business to you because you'd be surprised how many people will go to a family doctor or a pediatrician because of teething issues. They need to go to an actual dentist for that, right? So get on the good side of some family doctors. Presents for kids, right? Around the holidays, it's always good to have like a Christmas tree or a menorah or something and then put a bunch of presents under it and then give it to kids when they come in, right? Plans for businesses, right? So that's what I was talking about, 10% off like a fire department or something like that. And then partnerships with sports teams, right? We're talking like partnering with a football team, right? Like a AAA sports team for kids. Right? Give them a free mouth guard in exchange for a new patient exam. The patient comes in, you give them the free mouth guard, and then you convert mom, dad, and siblings while the kid is there. Right? It might cost you a few $1,000s in lab fees, but like the last person I had do that was in, I think they were in Maine, and there was like 200 kids or 210 kids that he did it for, and he ended up getting something like 30 patients or 35 patients out of it. How much is that worth to you? 35 patients. It's worth a lot, right? So experiment with things. Don't just rely solely on digital. Do things outside of the digital stuff. Okay? Next, you want to add images and videos. So don't just rely solely on stock, right? It's nice that they have a good, clean office, but if you don't include pictures and videos of you actually dealing with patients, your conversion rate's always going to be abysmal. It's going to be very small. So it's very important to make sure that you actually show that you can treat people, because has anyone ever heard of social proofing? Social proof? It's where you can recognize or feel as though you are being treated by that person because you can resonate with the person who's being treated, right? So as an example, like I'm a young guy, there's a couple of young guys in the audience. If I'm being treated by a dentist, maybe they'll resonate more because they can picture themselves being treated by the dentist because I'm also a young guy. Does that make sense? It's called social proofing. Very important to make sure that you're doing that on your website and everywhere else, okay? Now, if you'd like to get more patients in general, you want to include, I don't know if you can see this in the back, but you want to include pictures of families if you want to get more pictures of kids, or if you want to get more patients with kids. If you want to get more cosmetic patients, you have to include before and after pictures, okay? And then if you want more patients in general, include pictures of the community, right? Like you sponsoring a sports team, or like being at a picnic or something like that, right? Like be involved in the community and take proof of it, okay? Now, we want to add the pictures and videos in more than just the website. So, some other places we want to add the pictures would be Google Business Profile, like your map. We want to add them on Bing. We want to add them on social media, your printed flyers, and your emailed newsletters. Same pictures, different platform. We don't have to keep reinventing the wheel. Just use the same content in a different place, because that's how people are going to remember you. They're like, oh wait, I've seen that picture before, but I can't remember where. Oh wait, I've seen that picture. Now, I think that's Dr. Brandon. Oh, that's Dr. Brandon's picture, right? That's how they're going to remember you, using the same pictures and the same videos over and over, okay? Now, one thing you need to do for optimization, when you're uploading your picture, don't just call it image underscore XYZ123, right? Remember, with what I mentioned about alt text, change the file name to the keywords. So like as an example, that top picture with the doctor and the little girl, the file name for that photo would be like white male pediatric dentist in white lab coat helping little blonde girl in pink glasses. Does everyone understand that? Change the file name to what the picture is actually about, okay? It's like optimization, one of the best things you can do. Now, next you want to combine your marketing efforts. So, email marketing and social media typically go hand in hand. You do not have to reinvent the wheel. So what I mean by that is if you create a newsletter for your patients, take that same message and put it on social media. Very simple, okay? Creative versus general brand, right? Understand that I could take this off and I would be like every other marketing agency in a suit. I'm sure if you walk up and down here, you'll see every single one of them in a nice suit or a collared shirt. What separates us is that we're a creative brand, right? I'm in a white lab coat. How many marketing agencies are doing that, right? It separates us from everybody else. You have to do the same thing. Why would someone choose to go to your office versus your office? What separates you from them? And that's what you have to think about, okay? So if you need help with that, it's companies like ours that will help you do that, okay? Blogging and optimization. It's not a chicken and egg. Optimization comes first. No one cares that you added a blog to your website if you don't optimize it. So it's very important to optimize, then add the blog to your website afterwards, okay? Then we've got print marketing with Google and Meta. These things go hand in hand because how they work. Someone gets a flyer in the mail. It's not what I'm looking for, right? They just throw it in the garbage, the flyers, right? But let's say the person goes to their social media. Now you have an ad showing up to that person, right? And then they see your ad. They're like, hey, I've seen Brandon Dentistry before, but I can't remember from where. And now they need a dentist, so they go to Google, and you have a Google ad that pops up saying, hey, need a dentist? Call us today, Brandon Dentistry. And they're like, I've seen that name before. You know what, let me give them a call. I must trust them because I recognize the name, right? The average person has to see you 6 to 7 times in order for them to take an action. So the more often you promote, The higher you're going to get found, the more action is going to be taken towards you, okay? Next is personal and stock photos and videos. It's okay to use stock for things like lingual braces. You can't show lingual braces on a real patient. Imagine like putting a camera inside your mouth and being like, stay still. And like the whole camera's inside your mouth and you're trying to take that picture. Patients aren't going to understand what the hell they're looking at, right? So what you need to do is use stock photos and videos for stuff like that, but then use personal photos for everything else, okay? Print and promotional items. Does anybody give out like lip chap or like slinkies, or does anybody give out like knickknacks and stuff like that to patients, or gum, right? Like I have this one office in Florida that gives out like blankets and stuff. Use promotional items. Oh, best thing. Is anybody here a pediatric dentist? Pediatrics, kids, anybody deal with kids? No? I have this one office in New Jersey. We turned his icon, which his name is Cavity Detective, very cool. But we turned his icon, his logo, sorry, into a plush toy. And every time a child comes in for surgery, he puts the plush toy in their arms, so when they wake up, the plush toy is right there. And it's a picture, like his name is Cavity Detective, so the tooth is Sherlock and Sherlock Holmes, right? And then the dog is Watson, right? Everyone knows Sherlock Holmes and Watson? Everyone know what I'm talking about? Am I crazy? Right? Okay. So we turned his tooth and dog, his icon, into Sherlock Holmes and Watson, and we turned it into like a 6 to 8 inch plush toy that he gives to all the kids when they wake up. They just take it home, and it's branded Cavity Detective. Right? It's stuff like that that helps you separate yourselves from the competition down the street. Okay? And then next, digital versus non-digital. They both have to coexist in your marketing budget if you want to expand. You can't solely rely on your marketing agency to do everything, right? Our stuff is only going to be about 60%, 65% effective if you don't lift a finger. But if you started like actively being in the community, if you started going to schools, if you started giving out presents, if you started like going to sports teams and school, nursing homes, and if you started being in the community, your office will have a huge, huge impact, right? Because our stuff and your stuff will start to coexist and will be flawless. I had an office launch in May of last year, brand new build. As of this month, they're making $97,000 in gross revenue after 1 year. In 1 month. 97,000, that's like they went from 27 to like 25, then 35, then 60, and now they're at $97,000 in 1 month, in 1 year of marketing, because of what we did and because of what they did. And they're continuing that trend. My guess is this time by next year, they'll probably be closer to like 150, 160. Right? So that's the objective for everyone, is to continue your growth as long as you're comfortable growing, okay? Now, all of this is all well and good, but if you don't have a proper way to track it, then what the hell's the point, right? So how many of your staff have done this? Thank you for calling Brandon Dentistry. We're busy right now. Hang on 1 second. And they put the phone down. Or how many of you have ever experienced this? Hey, something actually came up. I know I just called you, but can you hang on 1 second? Let me call you right back. And the patient hangs up. Is your staff going to remember to call that patient back? Is the patient going to remember to call back? No. So, how many of these sentences sound familiar to you? Am I wasting money? Is the marketing actually working? My team says we're not getting any calls. What's going on? I promise you, I've looked at the data, it's not the marketing agency 99% of the time, right? There's a disconnect between the front office and the patient, okay? So to make sure that this doesn't happen, there's a call recording service that we activate into this, so every call is recorded. So anytime someone texts you, calls you, fills out a chat bot or a web form, all that data goes straight into this system. So if somebody ends up not calling you back, you could just go in there and say, oh, there's their phone number, and then pick up the phone and call them. and say, hey, were you still interested in booking the appointment? It's like, oh yeah, I was. Perfect, schedule the appointment. If they say, no, I'm not interested anymore, perfect, no problem, right? Well, I'll mark you as not interested, and then I'll have a reason why, right? You can track the source of where the lead is coming from, Google or Facebook or referral or flyers or walk-by traffic, right? So it's actually very important to have a system like this in place so you can track the data to see how effective your marketing is and if the ball is dropped with your marketing agency or is dropped with your staff. Systems like this are in place to make sure that nothing falls through the cracks. As a bonus tip, we always recommend working with a professional. So professional marketing agencies should be doing all these things. They should be updating the website, fixing errors on directories, renewing domains, security licenses, attracting media, writing blog posts and stuff like that. Like that's what a marketing agency should do. The benefit of working with someone like us is that we do this with dental expertise, which means we do this with HIPAA and WCAG compliance. WCAG is the Website Accessibility Guidelines Act. We talked about it with the accessibility feature. We know the content behind the procedures, and we know how to explain it in a way that's not going to get you in trouble with the association or college guidelines. Now, some common marketing mistakes. There's a lot, so I bullet point form them for us to go through pretty quick. Don't use incorrect phrasing. Incorrect phrasing would be things like, hey, we're the best. We guarantee your results, right? Like, don't do stuff like that. I love you. Come see me, right? Like, don't do stuff like that, okay? Then we've got testimonials and reviews. Respond to your testimonials, okay? If they're negative and you don't have anything nice to say, don't respond to it. Don't be like, hey, yeah, well, you suck too, and then just post, right? Like, don't do stuff like that, okay? Incentives. It's okay to offer an incentive, but don't make it like the focal point of your advertising, right? Come in today for $49.95, right? New patient special, right? You're gonna lose money on that, right? So make it make sense for you. You know, come in today, get a, you know, teeth whitening kit and, you know, get free teeth whitening for life. All you have to do is give them more gel. What does that cost? Like $8 for a recall? That's crazy good, right? Then you'll never lose a patient. Imagine someone saying, yeah, my dentist gives me free teeth whitening for life. Right? Yes, it's an expense, but the patient has to pay for the teeth whitening kit to begin with in order for them to get that. Like that's so good for some offices that actually do it. It's crazy. In groups and associations, you can't list any study groups you're part of, associations you're part of, or positions you hold at an association. You can't make yourself seem better than somebody else, okay? Contact information. Make sure that your contact information is accurate across all directories, and make sure that you're not using an incorrect designation. The funniest designation I've ever seen somebody give themselves, they called themselves the Supreme Dental Ruler. You can't call yourself a Supreme Dental Ruler. It's just like dentist or DMD or something like that, okay? And then marketing. So for promoting for services you don't offer, obviously don't do that. Don't plagiarize other people's websites, and don't have an improper marketing budget. If you want to get results, then spend accordingly. If you don't want to get results, then spend accordingly, right? But have realistic expectations based on your spend. Don't think that you can spend $500 and get $20,000 in business. It's not realistic, okay? Now, some top marketing FAQ questions. What should your marketing budget actually be? So, first is website design. I don't know if y'all can see this. That's very, can you read that? Probably not, eh? It's like $1,000 to $10,000 for a website, typically. Depending if it's like a template versus like a custom site. Okay, emails can cost anywhere between $10 to $100 per month per email address. Okay, depending on the security features and amount of space. To confirm, this is the average that you're gonna get from a marketing agency. These are not our fees, just to be clear. This is an average of what a marketing agency will charge you, okay? Chatbots will be between $50 to $300 a month. Directory services to help you get found on more directories will be about the same, $50 to $300 a month. Review Booster. This is like a survey you can add to your website and that you send to patients post-appointment. And if it comes back positive, it'll redirect to Google. That will float about the same, 50 to 300. It depends on if it's a manual system or an automatic system. Okay? Then we've got search engine optimization. This is the dynamic version that I explained earlier, not the static. Okay, the dynamic version. It's usually between $250 to $500 a month for that service. Okay? Social media can be between $250 to $500 depending on the platform and number of posts. And then ads can usually be between 15 and 25%. So if your budget is, let's say, $1,000, it could cost you around $200 to manage your $1,000 budget. Everything should equal 1 to 4% of annual sales. Okay, this factors in hour fees, it factors in other marketing that you're doing, it factors in print, it factors in promotional items, it factors in everything, your time. 1 to 4% of annual sales and marketing. So if you make $1 million a year, you should be spending between $10,000 and $40,000 a year in advertising. Okay? All right, now is your marketing working? Okay, here's a couple tips and tricks. I don't know if anybody wants to write this one down, but basically, go to any page of your website, right-click, and click View Page Source. It's at the bottom of the right click. This allows you to see the code of the website. Okay? The code of the website. So this code on the website will allow you to see the marketing that the person that you're paying for optimization, if they're actually doing it. So you're going to go to any page of your website, click View Page Source, and then essentially you're looking for meta title and meta description. So I don't know if you remember from the optimization slide, but there's titles and descriptions for Google that can be manipulated for every single page of your website. So what you can do is you can see this for every page to see if the person you're actually paying for optimization is actually doing their job. Okay? Then we've got social media and blogging. So look at the posts, look at the content, make sure you're happy with it. If you think that the posts suck, then talk to your marketing agency and tell them that you think it sucks. Right? If you're not happy with the pictures that are chosen, the videos that are chosen, you're not happy with the content, then tell them. Right? If they can't improve within 3 months, then kick them to the curb and find somebody else. Okay? Next is your ad spend. So typical leads, a lead is a phone call, will cost between $45 to $85 to generate one phone call. The cost to generate one patient is between $150 to $450. It's at $150 if you're promoting for like emergencies. It's at $450 if you're promoting for things like implants or something like that, or crowns and bridges. Okay? So your staff will play a huge, huge role in the conversion. So if you want to get a really cheap patient cost, your staff have to do their job. They can't just pick up the phone and we'll screw you. I actually called one of my clients yesterday, and I was like, hey, it's just Brandon, I'm looking for, like Suzanne or something like that. The staff member was like, who is this and what do you want? I was like, whoa, I didn't even tell you I'm Dr. Marketing. I didn't tell you I was a patient or anything. She was so rude to me. And then I was like, yeah, sorry, it's just Brandon from, and then I said from, she hung up the phone on me. I was like, are you kidding me? I immediately called the dentist and I was like, yo, I'm like, I have this call recording, you gotta listen to it. She got in so much trouble. But like, you gotta train your staff. They can't just pick up the phone and say, who is this? Like, what do you want? Are you kidding me? This is my business. Don't pick up the, I have two of my staff at the back, and the guy in the white lab coat. If they picked up the phone and answered it like that, back to training, like immediately. Okay, so don't let your staff off the hook if they do stuff like that, okay? Even if it's your spouse. Okay? All right. So now a little bit about Dr. Marketing. I'm almost done here. We're pretty close. We're a full service marketing team. So if you need anything, just give us a call. Print, promotional items, digital marketing, anything, okay? We specialize in working with dental offices. That's all we do, just dental. Okay? We have no term contracts, or we have discounted contracts if you want long-term stuff. We can save the average office 36 hours a month doing marketing. Okay, that's picture editing, content creation, graphic design, all that stuff. Okay, we like to take our time, be easy to understand, and offer effective and efficient service. And we've got partnerships with Google, Facebook, Microsoft, right? Like you can actually find us on their website. So I mean, listen, if Google trusts us, I think it's pretty safe to say you can trust us too, okay? Now in terms of services, we offer literally everything. Print, promotional items, social media, Google Ads, video editing, you know, literally anything that you need for your office, we can take care of it for you, okay? All digital, non-digital options. There's a lot of really cool things that we can do. Okay? Now I put together some case studies because the last time I was here, there was different offices from different locations. So I wasn't sure exactly what to expect in the audience group. Usually my audience group is a lot more full than this. First day, it's a 2-hour seminar, I get it, people are tired, right? So I don't know, again, if you can read that from back there, but ortho, pediatric, dentures, general dentistry, everyone has different marketing budgets. Everyone has different expectations. Just understand that when you choose to work with us, you're gonna start basic. No one's gonna come in here and dictate terms with us and say, hey, $5,000 a month, what can you get me? I'd be like, well, there's the door, right? Like you can walk through it. Because with our agency, it's a trust build thing. We have to make sure that the marketing that we're doing is working for you. So before we start going down that path, we start with the basics, make sure we see results before we add anything else in. It's a slow approach, but it works. Now we can move faster if you're comfortable doing it, but just understand that there is a specific way that we do things, okay? So usually things like optimization, ads, printed flyers, social media, all these things take a back seat until we know what's gonna work and what's not gonna work, okay? So if anybody has any questions, I've got 2 staff members, both Jack and Peter at the back, that are more than happy to answer any questions. I'm also gonna be here. I've got a flyer and I've got a business card. We have 2 booths. One at the very back entrance over there, I think it's booth 200 something. And then I've got one just on the other side here, it's 2260, I think, 2262, okay? So if anybody would like to scan the QR code, you can have one of our experts reach out to you sometime next week. Just fill out the contact form, we'll be in touch. Or you can come and talk to us right now, okay? Thanks, everybody.